Welcome to another episode of Stack and Scale. I'm Brandon Redlinger, and today I sat down with Sam Kuehnle, the VP of Marketing over at Loxo, and he showed us how he put together his account-based prospecting playbook. And what I love about this is it's not this giant, elaborate prompt that spits out the perfect playbook. It's actually a pretty simple prompt that he starts with, and then he's actually walking us through how he's refining it and having a conversation with ChatGPT and continuing to iterate it on it so that it actually becomes the perfect playbook for him. So I think there's a lot of implications beyond just putting together an account-based prospecting playbook. I think you can apply this to almost everything in marketing when you're putting together a plan or a playbook or a strategy. But I love this because, again, it doesn't rely on the perfect prompt, and you actually get something that's more relevant and more useful and more contextualized to what you are trying to do specifically. So without further ado, here's Sam. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this one. It's been fun watching your stuff, geeking out on AI and everything. So I'm like, oh my God,
I'm trying.
How am I going to contribute?
Yeah, no, I'm learning a lot from people like you. So, so what are we going to be doing today?
Yeah, today we're going to build a playbook, just using AI, a proprietary playbook, so to speak, in the sense like, how do you do ABM? So that's what we're solving for with our market, is we're effectively bringing the ABM strategy and methodology to our market. We sell to recruiters. They haven't historically done this. It's agency recruiters. So it's how do you teach someone how to do ABM? And that's actually been really fun to go through it myself, as we're thinking about like, how do we use this to evolve our own ABM program internally?
Yeah. No, I love this because I see a lot of people out there posting prompts about how to do deep research, but I haven't seen anyone yet to really to put together a full playbook with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. Let's dive in whenever you're ready.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'll share my screen, and you will see the one prompt that got me this perfect playbook on the first edition.
Oh, there we go.
Did not actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. It never works that way, right?
Way too many iterations. So I started with, you and I were talking about this right before, you could use ChatGPT, you could use Gemini, Claude, any of them. For this, I started playing around with Claude just because how it writes, and based on the inputs that I'd given it initially, it was able to pick up on that a little bit better in terms of just the writing style, the tone that we want to carry, versus sounding so AI-ish that I knew I was going to have to just completely rewrite everything.
Yeah.
So quick background on this playbook is basically starting from complete scratch. And this was the fun part I was like, I almost wanted to just see, this was an AI geek out session too, where I was just like, let's just pull this thread and see if it can accomplish this task for me, which I know I was going to do. Is I can do this manually. I can go pull up a Google Doc, I can rip this thing out in the course of a week, but what am I not thinking of? What am I missing that AI could help supplement me with on that? So I popped up Claude. I started, the very first prompt was just like, hey, what do you need help with? So I hit the I need help with content, and it spit out this super generic hi Claude, could you help edit my content? If you need more information from me, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing actually of substance in here other than gearing it towards, this is going to be helping with content. So what we then did was, I basically told them, hey, this is marketing copy. I want help refining some emails that I'm going to be using as a framework for our prospects and customers to use as part of their own business development efforts. This is the ABM execution they're going to be doing. So I'll provide you with the full strategy and the playbook below. After reviewing it, I want your help in refining the example sections that contain copy from email sends and phone scripts. And so from here, what I did was I uploaded what I called our account-based prospecting, which is the name of the product, it's ABM, our 101 playbook, which is basically how do you define your ICP? How do you do the analysis to figure out which customers do you win? Who do you lose? And the basics that we in marketing kind of know. But again, this is for a market that doesn't do it. And I wanted it to build off of this. So I get an output from Claude. Hi, perfect. I can see this as a comprehensive consultative recruiting playbook with some really strong strategic thinking, blah, blah, blah. And so it gives me this first document, V1, which is in Claude, they call them artifacts. Mm-hmm. And so it starts to populate and push through here for emails, what can you do? Hey, we're going to create some stronger subject lines to create curiosity for phone scripts, permission-based openings that respect their time, blah, blah, blah. And so from in there, and I can actually open this up, and you'll see it quickly populated out a 4-week outbound playbook. And this is no feedback has been given to it yet. It's just the straight up first script, like subject line.
Here's 4 emails or whatever. Like
yeah. And so we always know, like, okay, this is directionally just getting us where we want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Heaven forbid you ever send one of these. Definitely don't want to. So now that we've got this up, and I'm going to widen my screen so we can read it a little bit better here. This is where I start giving it feedback, because this is the value of having an LLM is I call it, like, have it be your sparring partner. Don't just take it at face value, but start going through the different iterations. And so I was like, okay, help me rewrite the following section. Like, the guiding principle is consistent, valuable, variable cadence. And so I was like, this doesn't help at this point. Like, what questions? Please ask me any questions that I can help you to get to the best revision for this. And this is something,
that's been key. I use that one all the time, or a version of that.
Yep. Like, I love that you said that too, because that's what I found to be one of the biggest unlocks of LLM. It's just like, I don't know what to ask you. You know you better than I know you. Like, what questions can I ask you? What context can I provide you with? Because that's the other thing of it is, like, we live in our own little world. We're only thinking of, like, what might be a very small slice of the inputs that could help form this much more comprehensive thing. And so there have been times when it's like, here's 20 questions. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to answer 5 of these, and that's going to be enough for you for now. But it's 4 more than I may have given you otherwise.
Yep.
So you can see it starts getting to, like, who's your primary audience for this playbook? What specific feeling or mindset do you want this guiding principle to create? So it starts going through these different types of questions where I do some back and forth with it. I don't know how do you want to go each step by step? Do you want me to fast forward to certain parts? Like, what's going to be helpful for here?
Yeah, maybe just the parts that are the most helpful.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see, we got into 36 versions of this. Lots of iteration. And that's where I say that's the beauty of it, right? You're like continuing to provide the feedback on it. So as I keep scrolling in here, let's find a good next one. So the next big section was, this was a 4-week outbound playbook. For ABM, you and I both know, if you're treating everyone as a 4-week play, like, you're not going to win your market. Like, you have to play the long game. That's creating demand. That's how you win the 95%. So I said, okay, cool. Now we've got the first 4 weeks. Let's turn it into a broader 12-month program. So help me then bridge into this next section, which will follow that initial 4-week sprint into a longer-term cadence. What would that look like? Very open-ended. That's all that I contained it with. And so it gave me an input, or gave me an output, which is basically just like carries that over. So I did some slight renaming. But from there, actually, this is going to be kind of funny. So I was like, naming matters in a playbook. Like, to me, I don't know if it's like, I don't idolize Steve Jobs, but I love that he focused on, like, the most minute of details. And I'm like, okay, if we're calling phase 1, phase 2 certain things, like, these should have a punch to them, so to speak. And so it gave me some names for phase 1. Phase 1, the 4-week trust building sprint. Phase 1, from cold contact to warm conversation. A number of examples like this. And I was like, to be honest,
this is helpful for your reps to figure out where we're at.
Yeah. See where they're at, for the people to understand what's the purpose of this section and everything else. And so this is where I was just like, to be honest, I don't love any of these. Like, try some more. You don't have to take what LLMs give you. And that's where I say, like, keep iterating, why we got to so many different ones. So eventually got into these different things. And I was like, cool. I like phase 1 this, phase 2 this. Remember these, because we're going to carry this tone throughout the rest of the conversation, and make sure you're threading that into different items. So continuing to revise different names, some fine tuning. This is where, okay, next big section is I actually get into the emails that they provided, the weeks 1, week 2, week 3 emails. So the first email that it provided was very specific. So, like, my team tracks talent movements across Boston biotech. We noticed a 40% spike in demand for scientists with both cryo, EM, and machine learning experience. Unless you work in that very niche space, you're not going to be able to translate. This is not easily translatable for just, like, anyone who might be like a healthcare recruiter, a tech recruiter, or something else. It's like, let's make it a little bit simpler. So I was like, let's try a different industry just to simplify this out. So we're like, cool. Okay. They're like, okay, let's go to fintech in New York City. Everyone can relate to New York City. Fintech's a much more broad space. So iterating in that manner there. And so that's where it starts to get into, okay, we've got that directional, update the rest of the playbook, or the rest of the emails, the phone scripts, everything else to follow the same industry example. and then provide me with that output. So that's another iteration on one of the artifacts. Moving forward, there's a good bit of email, really just honing it again on like this email thing, because that, as you and I both know, especially if it's a cold audience, you don't want to ask right away. You want to deliver value. You want to educate.
Exactly.
And so there was a
Like
lot.
earn the right to ask.
Yeah. And a lot of the fine tuning in here was small language tweaks from me. And that's why I said, like, that's why I love LLMs, because it gives me just the framework for the emails. And now I go in and say, like, hey, this actually isn't going to be good. And even after the 36 iterations of this, right before you and I got on this call, I was telling you I was recording a podcast episode for our own internal company podcast with one of our strategic account managers. And I was like, shred these emails to bits. You're talking to customers all day who are working through this.
Yeah.
You give me another round of feedback, because I've been the only person editing these so far. This isn't public yet. But now I get this person who is a subject matter expert and working with customers to go in on another level. So this is where those small incremental adjustments, like, it's not fun, it's not sexy, but this is how you get the most out of it.
Yeah,
versus
everyone
like,
wants just like the prompt, and they think they can
Yeah.
just use whatever it spits out the first time. But like, here's how you actually work with an AI to come up with, like, you're still doing a decent amount of work, but it's still cutting the work in, I mean, way more than in half,
yeah,
right? Like,
the actual
starting with
writing.
an actual blank slate is like pretty daunting. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect use for it.
Yeah. And so I'll spare you the rest of the 36 iterations that we went to and we'll jump over to it. But to your point, so I've got this all in Notion right now before we get into anything else, but like you see, like account-based prospecting 101 and 201. So if we combine this all into one playbook, I'm just going to scroll this. If you're listening, I'm going to be quiet for a minute so you understand how long this is, but scroll. We're just in phase 1 now. Now we're getting in phase 2. And it keeps going and going and going. But the point of this is, like, writing this alone would have taken forever.
Yeah.
I would rather like use it, let that do the writing for you. You give it the inputs to refine it, because it's going to cascade that through the entire document. Because that's the other thing, is sometimes I would find myself, I would update the intro section and then forget to update something 3/4 of the way down later on, forget to carry a thread through, like you and I were talking about. I was like, remember phase 1, phase 2, the feeling that we want to have injected in this, that cascades through. So that's one thing that I really like about it. But getting into the output itself, like that was kind of the cool part, where I'm able to tell the ultimate story, which, like, what's the overarching goal of this playbook? It's, my market has never done account-based marketing before. They don't even know, before I can even sell them the product, they have to understand, what is this strategy and why is it better than what they're currently doing? Because they might be thinking, like, I only know how to do business development in ways A, B, and C, so I have to do A, B, and C. Like, they don't even know D is out there. Once they know D is out there, well, is that better? That's a new learning curve. I don't know if I want to do that. Is it 10x better than what I currently do? Because we all know if it's only like 2x better, they're probably just going to be like, what I'm doing now is good enough. I don't want to have to deal with like
There's
all
not
that.
enough of a reason to switch what they're doing out of the current status quo.
Yeah. And so that's where the playbook, I was like, I could just jump straight into, like you said earlier, give me the prompt and tell me the outputs. Like, I could just get straight into, like, write a 4-week email and call series and give me that. But it's like, if you don't know why you're doing it, then that's an issue where, like, they're not going to adopt it. Or if it doesn't work, they'll be like, write it off. It's done. It didn't work for me. But it's like, if you don't know the purpose, the intent, like how to approach the market, or like, you're probably not going to win most business in the first 4 weeks, versus like, if this doesn't win business in the first 4 weeks, it doesn't work. It's like, well, now you're playing the long game here, buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we go through the entire thing, like, basically the first section is just like the account-based prospecting playbook. Like, the philosophy of this ABP playbook is a shift from the reactive mindset to a proactive one. This is building trust and positions you as a premium recruitment product partner, not just another recruiter. And it's going to go on to kind of explain this, just like, why is this important? How do you follow it? In the first section, this is kind of the 101. It's like, what the heck is this thing? What's ABP? So I answer that question, like, so people truly understand, like, what is account-based prospecting? How do you define your ICP based on, industry, location, company, jobs types? The next one, this is proactive objection handling. So the MPC approach, the most placeable candidate, this is the most common business development strategy in recruitment. So pick whatever, like, status quo is for your industry here. Get ahead of that. Why would someone want to go beyond whatever status quo is and speak to that. So that's why I say, like, don't just say this works really well, but you know they're going to be internally in their head asking that question, like, is this better? Why should I be doing it? How is it different?
Yeah.
Answer that question straightforward. Because again, we're not trying to sell a product with this. We're trying to help them adopt a philosophy, adopt a strategy, because then our product will follow that. But if they don't follow this, then they're never going to buy the product. So you have to do that first. We get into the guiding principles of it. So what's the overall intent? You know, make sure that you're giving value, make sure that you follow the give to get ratio. We're not just ask, but give value, earn trust over time. And then we talk through how do you define your ICP. So for anyone that hasn't done this before, most recruiters are just like, oh yeah, I work with tech companies in the San Fran Bay Area. Well, what kind of tech? What type of roles within those companies? Like, because what we found is, and this is more just general ABM advice, a lot of people are scared to hone in on one specific niche because they're like, oh, I'm going to miss out on everything else.
Yep.
But when you do that, you then don't really become known for anything. And like Anthony Pieri, he was on our podcast not long ago, he was talking about this conundrum, and he's just like, no, this is like, he's like, when people ask for very specific things, like he shared an example of when he got recommended in a LinkedIn comment thread for someone's like, I need help with positioning for our startup, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, literally every comment was Fletch PMM, Anthony Pieri, like that group. He's like, that's what this does for you. So how to define your ICP, how to go through it all, and then getting into some of the stuff that you and I were just talking about with Claude itself. So we talked about, you know, use this playbook across industries. We're going to share examples, place the trend, replace the roll tape, replace the pain points to what you know. But when you see this example, you're going to understand how to draw parallels into your world. And then we get into the playbook. So not only is it here's an example email, but we explain like, what's the objective of this week 1 email? How are we delivering it? Email only, email on phone, like why are we doing it? So it gives the example. And then we do a short blurb. I was like, why does this work in this step? So in the small italics in the bottom, it's just like, why this works for week 1. What's the ultimate outcome that you're seeking? Week 2, same thing, objective, action, channel, example. And we keep following in here. And then you see eventually we get into like week 3, then it starts adding in another channel, email and phone. Here's where the human element comes in. This is not something that came up in Claude, but I was just like, if you want to stand out, if you want to be different, if you want to show your value, I was like, okay, this is a great playbook, very directional, but I was like, add a video message. I can promise you that 99% of other recruiters aren't doing it. Where does it make sense? So I'm like, okay, this week 3 email makes sense because you're talking about.
I don't know if I've ever gotten a video message from a recruiter before.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's so simple. I'm like, just pull up Loom, pull up your phone. Like you can really shot on an iPhone. It doesn't matter. But in this example, the email, it's basically pitching a candidate to an organization. Like, hey, I have this perfect VP of risk at JP Morgan Chase. He's been there for 8 years. So you could tell him about it in email. Or what you can do is pull up a Loom, have their resume, it's anonymized on the screen, so it doesn't have a picture, but there's something about when you see that too with it, and you can read through the bullet points that it's like how people learn things. Some people are auditory learners, some people are visual learners. It gives another way to ingest that information. So it's easy, it's lightweight, it's 2 minutes. In ABM, you're doing this at a 1-to-1 level anyway. You're already doing this research, so now you're just making it public for them. But it also stands out because I can promise you, no one else is doing it. And even though it's 2 more minutes for you, they could look at this and they're just like, oh, if they're willing to put forth this effort, this is probably a signal of their work ethic in general, how they approach work, what it'll be like to work with them. Like there's these other nuanced items that so many people don't account for when they think about like marketing is representing so much more than just like the act of acquisition, but like all of the underlying, like what are the behaviors, the values that you're demonstrating with that act of outreach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like every touch that you have with a company or with a recruiter, it gives you a little bit closer to that trust and the credibility, or a little bit further, and like you just want to keep building that on that to give them that overall feeling.
Yeah.
So what do you think is next for your playbook here? Have you thought about now let's create this for other verticals, other segments, or what's next, and how do you think you will use AI to help you leverage or get to that next version?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question. So this playbook on its own is generic to our market. So it's just taking like, if you had to summarize our ICP and put it into one person. Who is it? But there are very different types of recruitment. There are recruiters who go after very niche positions. Someone who is a Python developer who lives in California, to executive search who's going after the next CFO for Coca-Cola, to I just need 20 construction workers to build this bridge over the summer, temporary gigs. Each of them, while they do the same overarching job to be done, recruit, help place people in positions, how they go about it and how they work and speak are all very different. And they operate in a way that's like, oh, if you're for this type of recruitment, you're not for me. So we have to get very specific for it. So that's something where I've got someone starting on my team in 3 weeks. It's going to be taking this role where it's like, we're going to give you a macro piece of content. You are now going to go in and make this hyper targeted to each of our different segments, not just like executive search, temporary contract staff, but what's this mean for the UK, for Australia, for the US? What's it mean if you're a small organization, a large organization, or any permutations in between? You do executive search in the UK, because each of those, the more specific you can get in our market, that is the number one thing that they are mentally vetting for, is like, how relevant are you to me? Because if you don't understand me, the work I do, my market, then you're not going to be helpful. You're not going to be 10x better. You're just another ATS. You're just another piece of software. So to your question, what we're doing is we're taking this root piece of content, and this becomes the basically, I'll go back and feed this into Claude or something. I'll say like, here's this specific segment ICP that we want this to serve. Now go and tailor it, make it so the examples are specific to executive search in New York City, to whatever else it may be. Update the copy. Here's the pain points that this segment feels. Here's the outcomes that they're seeking. Go and update it. Then we kind of do the same process where that person I'm hiring is a subject matter expert also, so they can read between the lines and add in all of that value that they know. But that's what gets to the ultimate outcome of like, how do we make these playbooks not just a giant piece of content that I can go toss on LinkedIn and be like, comment playbook to get 1 million, like, all this stuff that no one's going to go and get, but like something that's actually helpful if someone wants to start this type of strategy for their business. Yeah.
So create a different project, upload this as one of the or one of the, what is Claude? Yeah. Like one of the knowledge artifacts or whatever.
Yep.
And then now you're saying, okay, let's actually specifically build this for executive search, finance leader in New York or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So
this is really cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course. So, I don't know. These are the things that we say, like, geek out on with LMs. Like, where can it help? Where I've also done things in here that I've not been helpful at all. And I'm just like, this is worse than anything I've done. Just like, also be willing to just cut your losses. Sometimes be like,
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. All right, cool. I've got a lightning round for you. 3 easy questions. Ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. What is your AI tech stack these days? So obviously Claude. You were telling me also ChatGPT, but for this you use Claude.
Yep.
What else do you use?
We use Gemini. So as a company, we're a Google Workspace organization. So we have Gemini. We are very specific about not using any proprietary information, loading that into LLMs for any number of security reasons. But with Gemini, we do have that configured with our company. Our CTO set it up where he's like, if you need to do analyses, use this one, because we have it configured where the data is safe, it's secure, it's not being used to the training models aren't reading our data, anything else. So we have things in place where we can use both. But yeah, those are the big 3 that I currently use.
Nice. I love it. Where do you go, or who do you follow to stay up to date with AI and how marketers are using AI?
Yeah. Justin Norris, he's one of my favorites on it. He's been geeking out. He goes super, super deep on it. So I'm just like scratching the surface as I'm reading, but it gives me the ideas. And then what I do is we have a RevOps team, a RevOps guy, GTM engineer, who lives and breathes in this. So I learn from him a ton too. I pass things along his way. But yeah, Justin has been great. I've started following your content recently.
I appreciate that.
Been enjoying that. And then not too many others. I mean, I don't hate to say it. The LinkedIn feed, I'll see some good prompts in there. Sometimes it'll spur an idea of like, ooh, what if I tweak this and run it that way? But like, that is one of the plus sides of like, when people are just like, here's a prompt that's going to save the world. It's like, well, it might not save the world, but it's going to give me an idea. I'm like, ooh, what if I go with that direction instead?
100%. I feel like that's what most of like the prompts, at least how I see it, is like good to get other ideas on how you might be able to use. Like, hardly ever do I take a prompt that I see and copy and paste it.
No.
But at least give me ideas.
Well, I mean, what's that book, The Steal Like an Artist, Austin Kleon, like that exact?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And yeah, here's the other thing that I've noticed too since GPT-5 has come out. Like all of the creators that are creating AI content out there and selling courses, they think GPT-5 is like the hottest shit. And it's like, oh my God, this is mind blowing. But if you actually look at some of the analysts and the people who are like deep in it and whose income doesn't actually
Hmm.
rely on, people consuming their content, they're all like, yeah, GPT-5 is very underwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
like you got to be careful who you're taking information from.
Yeah. I mean,
And
when you look at the practitioners, as you say that, Jen Allen, so she, one of the best sales reps in the world, but
yeah,
she was talking about some of her outreach. She's like, actually, was it model GPT-3? Oh, she's like, that was one of the best ones for the types of like biz dev emails, just the succinctness, the clarity of it. She's like, GPT-5 like was actually significantly worse. So I was like, I wanted to go back to the old
yeah.
model because that one worked better. So that's
Yeah,
the other thing is
that's what you're
understanding.
hearing from the actual people that are in it, not the
Yeah.
people that are selling the courses
Yeah.
about how to, it's like,
Oh, it
yeah,
goes so much faster. It's like, well, did you get the outcome you needed at the end of the day? Did people reply to the email?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you and her on that. Go. All right, last question. What's the biggest challenge that you have right now with AI?
Aside from the obvious, like the hallucinations, like, is it trustable? It's not to sound dramatic, the loss of humanity. Like that's something that we pride ourselves on as a company is like always having our brand and a strong point of view behind it. Cause that's going to become one of the biggest differentiators at the end of the day is like, there's this race to the bottom of like, anyone can create content. Anyone can do this or that. But
Yeah.
it's kind of, you see this in like B2C, like why do people buy a Yeti cooler instead of, the one that you can go pick up at Walmart? Why do people proudly put an Apple sticker on something versus you never see people put Microsoft stickers on anything? Like
Yeah.
the brand stands for something, so that like that's the one thing that I don't know if there's something that you can't quite get no matter how much you train an AI to sound like something or talk a certain way, the tone, what you represent. But that's probably the one thing that I keep in mind there.
I love it. Cool. Well, thanks again, Sam. Where can people connect with you, learn more about what you're up to, maybe follow some Sam's marketing meditations?
There you go. You're already on it. Yeah. LinkedIn. I've been there for a while. I'm starting to do more on Substack though. Just samkuehnle.com. Every Saturday I drop an essay there. Those are the two main places. Other than that, if you can find me on Slack, you can probably send me an external connect request from there. But no, LinkedIn and Substack will be the best.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.